Welcome to Join AFD. I'm Reggie Campbell. Today we'll talk about the ins and outs, disqualifiers, and eligibility requirements for the Austin Fire Department. Stay tuned. Join AFD Live starts right now. Today we'll talk about the ins and outs of and eligibility requirements for the Austin Fire Department. Let's jump right into some automatic disqualifiers from the application process. The first disqualifier when you talk about is felonies. If you have a felony, you will not be eligible to participate in this hiring process. If you have a Class A, you are disqualified. If you have 2 or more Class B misdemeanors, you are disqualified from the process as well. The next thing you need to know, failing a drug test during the hiring process will get you eliminated. That is an automatic disqualifier. The next thing is history of family violence. If you have 3 or more incidents of family violence, whether you're convicted or not, you will be disqualified from this process. And I think the most important thing that you need to understand what will get you disqualified is dishonesty. Dishonesty is huge in this process. So anything you are being asked about, please be truthful, be honest, talk about what happened. But if you're dishonest, permanent disqualifier from this process. The next disqualifier we're going to discuss is memberships to any gangs or organizations that promote violence or anything like that. That will get you disqualified. So those are some of the disqualifiers that we have during the process. Now I'm going to bring in a good friend of mine, Willie Wade. He's a former recruiter, a 26-year specialist in the fire department. I'm going to bring Willie in now. So, hey, how you doing, Willie? Thanks for taking time out of your day, man. Yeah. And like I said, we're doing the ins and outs and eligibility and disqualifiers. Since you was a former recruiter, let's go talk about some of these things that we would always discuss on our recruiting trips about possible disqualifiers. Go ahead and first thing I'm gonna lead it off and say, hey, some of the things that we discuss are a high number of traffic incidents. Some people don't understand your driving record can affect getting this job. If you show reckless behavior driving, too many tickets, too many accidents, and things of that nature, that probably is going to be reviewed and understand that, hey, the reason they're reviewing this is because you probably will have to eventually drive a fire truck in the Austin Fire Department. And we have $500,000 vehicles, so we don't want to just trust that to anybody. So check your driving record, make sure, see what it is, see how many tickets, see how many points, and all that stuff you have on your driving record. All right.
And going along with what you're talking about with the driving record, also, if you had a DWI, if you had a conviction within the last 5 years or 5 years from the conviction date, then you will not be eligible for this process. Also, if you had a Class 2 misdemeanor within the last 2 years from the date of conviction, then you will also not be eligible for this process.
Yeah.
So
you mean a Class C.
Class C, I'm sorry. Yeah, Class
C.
Yeah, so definitely check your records, like Reggie just said. Make sure all your stuff is up to speed, and so that you will definitely be able to get through this process. Also, me being a prior military person, if you had a other than honorable discharge, if you had a general discharge, then that will definitely be looked into as to the cause of why. So I heard Reggie allude earlier, you definitely want to be honest with all your answers, because everything will be looked into during this process.
Okay. Next thing we'll jump into is if you was in a previous hiring process and you were eliminated. I don't know why you were eliminated, but if you jump back into this process, you accept it and you pass it and get to the phase where you move to the next step, the first thing they're going to do is checking to see if you have corrected the behavior or whatever the problem was that got you disqualified out of your previous process. So make sure if using the previous process that you have taken care of that problem that got you kicked out of the previous process that you were in. So, what else you got for us, Willie?
All right. Also, we're going to be looking into child support. If you owe any back child support, if you're kind of fell behind, it is not a decubable offense, but it kind of speaks to your character, and it's something that will definitely be reviewed by the fire chief.
Yeah. So make sure you pull your child support. Make sure you're up to par on that. Next thing we'll talk about is pulling student loans, and make sure you're in good standing if you went to college. So if you went to college and you have student loans, that's fine. You can have student loans, but we don't want you to be so delinquent on your student loans to where you're not in good standing with the college or university you went to. If you went to a college or university, you need to be in good standing because us as Austin firefighters, we are enrolled as students at Austin Community College so we can continue our continuing education hours. And we have to do so many per year, and we are students at ACC, so you would have to be able to be a student as well. So if you're not in good standing, you might want to call the university or the college that you attended and check that status and make sure that you are able to enroll in ACC.
All right. And also, so just like with your student loan, you want to make sure your credit is also in good standing. You don't want to be delinquent in a bunch of your payments. You don't want to. This is not necessarily a major issue, or actually it can be a major issue if you're delinquent with your credit cards and your student loans, and you have all these things piling up on you. These items can and will be reviewed by the chief.
Yeah. And back to your driving record. If your driver's license has been revoked, there's a reason it's been revoked. So that will be reviewed to see why it's revoked, and that will go up to the chief to see if you can continue in our hiring process. It's just another red flag for you guys to try to avoid by checking into that. Go ahead, Willie.
Right. So also, if you have resigned from a job in order to not be fired, then you're probably going to be disqualified from this process. We're sure there was a reason that you had to resign to avoid being fired, and there's a reason why you were possibly about to be fired. So if you had to resign to avoid being fired, you're probably going to be DQ'd from this process.
Yes. Hey, Nathan, give me just a second. I see your question, and I'm gonna get to you just a second. Let me talk about this one last thing that I need to probably get off my head. Tattoos and tunnels. We do have a tattoo policy. We have our policy states that you cannot have any hand tattoos, neck tattoos, or face tattoos. If you do, they have to be covered up by our Class A uniform. Our Class A uniform consists of a long sleeve shirt with a tie. If you put that on and you can still see your tattoos, then they must be removed prior to you starting an academy. So everything has to be done before you can even join Austin Fire Department Academy. So anything on the hand, anything on the neck, anything on the face. So remember that. And also tunnels. I know a lot of people have tunnels these days, so they're permitted, but they have to be a quarter inch or less. So
is it a half inch or a quarter inch?
Maybe a half inch. Yes, a half inch. If it's a half inch or less, then you have to get those reduced, taken out and reduced somehow. I'm not sure of the process, but go ahead and get that taken care of.
And then also as reference to the tattoos, if you have any type of racial tattoos or anything like that, any type of gang affiliations, even though they can't be seen, you definitely don't want that on your body before you join the process. Once again, that's going to speak to your character.
Yes. Yeah. So if you have anything that's even of any kind of question marks, you might want to have that removed or covered up or whatever needs to be done to it. So.
Okay. So that brings us to one of our last topics we want to talk about, and that's expungements. Make sure if you've had an expungement on your record that you have completed the entire process and you have the paperwork to verify it. You know, a lot of times some things have happened in a person's past and they think it's expunged, but they didn't complete the process, so they don't have all the paperwork. And that's something you definitely want to make sure you've taken care of. And still be honest. Whenever you're filling out the application, there's some things that can be questionable. And if in doubt, I say fill it out. If you think, you're not sure, you're on the fence, if you can still apply for the job, I was told to tell you guys to always apply. Especially if it's something questionable you're not sure about, let the review board be the ones to disqualify you. Don't disqualify yourself. But you must be honest, because if you're not honest, then that is an automatic disqualification, and not just for this process, but forever.
Yes. So honesty plays a real big part in it. Hey, Willie, I appreciate you stopping by and sharing some of your time with us today and helping me out, go over some of these things that some of these applicants have questions with. So
right. Anytime, Reg. Thanks for having me.
All right, man. Willie, I know you got to get the shift, man. So be careful, hey, and continue to be safe out there, brother.
All right, man. Later.
All right. Later. All right. Let me get to some of these. We got some questions coming up. Nathan, isn't there an age restriction? Yes, Nathan. 36. By the time you take the test, you cannot be over the age of 36. Ms. Zapata, how can we prepare for the hiring process? We just went over a few things. We have a couple of live episodes that we went through. You might want to go back and review those and see what some of the things you can start doing as far as like social media, if you're in the military, some of the military stuff, and some of the stuff we spoke of today. You can also just start, getting physically fit and things like that. So those are the few things that you can go to. Miss Chandler, last name Chandler, when will the application open? We don't have an exact date for the opening of the application period, but it's going to be sometime early spring. So I say you keep checking back every month, and we're also sending you updated emails on when the application period will open. Bradshaw, how do you apply when is the deadline? Applications are always going to be online. So once they go live, they'll be online for so many weeks, and the deadline is going to be whenever they set the deadline. So I want to say usually between 4 and 6 weeks we open the application period. That's been what we have in the past. So if we're not sure, so keep checking back, keep getting our emails, and make sure you are part of Join AFD Live. So you make sure you're part of joinafd.com. Make sure you're on our email list at all times. Last name Smith. What if you were fired in the past? Depends on what you was fired for. I'm thinking if you were fired in the past, that's not automatic disqualifier. Each case is on an individual basis, so depends on what the situation was. It will be reviewed more than likely. So if you I always feel just keep applying when the situation comes up. Be honest, like we said. Honesty is probably one of the major parts of this job. So make sure you're honest about what you're saying and what happened in the situation. Justin Hunter, resident of Phoenix, Arizona, had my EMT Fire Science 1-2 in Arizona. My EMTB is with National REMTB. We transferred to Texas to a Texas license. How do recruits usually do this? I'm not sure. Like your EMT probably would carry over if it's National Registry, but your firefighter stuff and all that stuff may not. I don't have those exact answers right now. If they would carry over to Texas, so what I can get you to do is when I give you the email address, you can always email me those questions, and I can answer those questions for you in an email, or you can give us a call as well. So, and I'm gonna give you the email just in a few seconds, okay? Chandler, when does Project Fire Fit typically start? I think that's what the optional physical. I'm not sure the start dates because we're not sure of our start dates anyway. But usually it starts right before the academy, sometime before the academy. So But if you want to get back to us and email me that question, I can find out from our fitness peers to when exactly that will start for you. Mr. Hill, how long is the hiring process usually before accepting to the academy? Right now, Mr. Hill, I can tell you right now, usually we're supposed to be taking the written test, which is probably going to be in mid-June, what they told us. And usually you take the written test, then you have the SOP, and then usually we start our academies in October, every October and every January. That's the schedule we're on right now. So anywhere between June, you take the written test in June, and by the time October comes, the process should be completed, and we should have a class starting in October sometime. So it takes anywhere between 5 to 6 months to be from written test to actual academy starting. Last name is Zapata. Do I need to be certified EMT before applying, or do we learn that in the academy? No, you don't have to come in with any qualifications. Anything we need you to be qualified for, we would give it to you in our 6-month-long academy. So you don't have to come in with any qualifications. Just meet the bare minimum qualifications, take the test, try to get on the list to try to move forward in the hiring process. Mr. Rusley, will y'all help us get into shape so we can pass the physical part? Tricky question. I don't know. Most of that stuff is going to be on you to get physically fit. And what I can tell you now is if you're serious about this job and that's what you really want to do, start practicing that now. Start running. Start lifting weights. Hey, look up. We have a deal called a CPAT, which is our physical ability program, our physical ability test that we usually run people through. Look that up and start practicing that. But, most of this is going to be on you to come in shape. So running, lifting weights, doing some firefighter-related stuff. You can Google and look up all the stuff you need to try to do to get yourself in shape, okay? Ms. Smith, is there any interview prep through AFD? At the moment, we don't have any interview prep stuff. But what I would do is to have you Google some prep stuff. Just Google firefighter tests, firefighter exams and things like that, and that you can probably find dozens of websites that'll help you out, that'll help you prepare for the written and the SOP test. Mr. Pata, what is written exams like? What do you need to study? The written exams is just a general aptitude test, I believe. Math, English, spatial awareness, a little bit of everything. It's kind of like an entrance or an exit exam in high school. So you need to know a little bit of everything. It's not one specific type of exam. So what you can do is, look up some typical firefighter exams. So you can start studying that, looking at it, and understand what's going on with it. All right. Hey, I'm going to put some contact information on the screen for you guys, which is, hey, you can call us at area code 512-974-0292. Or you can email us at firerecruiting@austintexas.gov. Those are the ways you can contact us. If you got any more questions or concerns, I know we went over a lot of stuff today, so if you got any more questions or whatever, call us, email us, continue to follow us on social media. Make sure you are on joinafd.com so you can get all the email updates and stay up to date on what's going on in the hiring process. So if there's nothing else for today, I'm gonna call it a day, and I'll see you guys on our next show. So be safe and continue to be aware of what you're doing out there. All right. Thank you. Bye.